You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Welcome to the Practical Horseman podcast, featuring conversations with respected riders, industry leaders, and horse care experts. The show is co-hosted by Practical Horseman editors, and our goal is to inform, educate, and inspire. I'm Sandy Olenek, and this week we're bringing you some of our highlight interviews from the Mars, Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory. The event, one of only 2 5-star competitions in the United States, ran from October 19th through the 22nd, 2023. It was a great week with amazing sport. Ireland's Austin O'Connor won the event riding Colorado Blue. He's the first Irish winner of a CCI 5-star in 58 years, and he was understandably very excited. He'd come into the show jumping phase in 4th place, but moved up as those riders ahead of him had rails down in the final phase. Great Britain's William Fox Pitt and Grafenach placed 2nd, and fellow countrymen Oliver Townend and Cooley Rosalant placed 3rd. Hannah Sue Holberg and Capital HIM were the top U.S. finishers in 4th place, and another fan favorite, Mia Farley and the Thoroughbred Phelps, placed 5th. In this episode, we bring you the conversations we had with all of these top riders from the event. We're lucky because after their dressage and cross-country rides, the riders come to what's called the mixed zone and talk about their rides. So we get firsthand insights into how things went for them. Dressage day is especially fun because there's a little more time to chat with the riders about themselves and their horses. We're also going to include some of the highlights from the press conferences that were held after cross-country and show jumping. Before getting into the interviews, I'd like to share a word from our sponsor, US Rider. Whether you and your horse are headed across the country or just down the road, the new US Rider app helps you be prepared. From free travel planning, checklists, travel document storage, health alerts, emergency vet and farrier referrals, and more, you'll find everything you need to stay organized and have a safe trip at your fingertips. Plus, US Rider members can easily request roadside assistance within the app. Ready to make traveling with your horses easier? Download the new US Rider app from the Apple and Google Play app stores today. We'll start by hearing from the winner, Austin O'Connor.
So, first impressions, how was that?
Ash, every time you do a dressage test and get a mark, you hope you get a better one, don't you? But look, all in all, it wasn't too bad. It was solid enough. I made a stupid mistake at the end. Can't blame the horse for that. But he got it. He's not here to lead the dressage, but it was pretty solid, and it's still going the right direction.
Sure. Well, it was if I believe it was a couple marks down from his Burley score, so I think you got a 34 at Burley.
Yeah, I mean Burley was obviously a bit, that was disappointing.
Sure.
It's all relative, and you're going in first, and all judges haven't warmed up yet, have they? But look, all in all, it's great to be here, and it's nice to have that bit behind us.
Sure. And obviously, this is a bit of a reroute for you, but was that the main motivation to come here? Had you kind of had your eye on this event, or kind of?
No, so it was a sort of an afterthought, really, after Burley. But I've heard loads about it, and the opportunity arose, and here we are. Why not?
How do you like it so far?
It's amazing. Everybody here has been so kind to us, and the whole site is incredible. The cross country looks incredible. Can't say a bad word about it.
Is this your first competition in the U.S. period, or have you been before?
I've been to Kentucky a couple of times, but not for 10 years.
So. A little off.
Yeah. Always keen to come back. We always get a good welcome, and it's done properly.
Can you tell us just a little bit about your horse and what he's like to ride and train?
Yeah, he's a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. Like in some respects, he's a very laid-back character. But there's also, like when he goes in the ring, there definitely a little bit of nerves. I'd probably set into both of us. But he gets a little bit within himself. But he's whatever happens here, he's been a great horse. He's a great jumper, a great fun horse, and loves his cross country. So I wouldn't want to ride anything else.
What's he like personality-wise, like back at the barn?
Yeah, I'd say he's a kind guy, but he's a little bit reserved. He likes his own space. He's not a cuddly person, so to speak, but he's a gentle horse.
And you mentioned mistake. What mistake? Can't see.
Unfortunately, I was doing so much work in my canter halts that I basically halted early towards the end. But it's one of those things.
And sorry, can you talk about your progression, like with your relationship with him, like when you started riding him? And
Yeah, I've had him from the very beginning, so we broke him in. So anything good or bad is my fault, I guess. So I've had him from the very beginning, from the first. I'd been the first person to sit on him and brought him through the grades. And he's always looked like a good competition horse from day one.
in cross country course, anything particularly challenging? Or
I think it's all challenging. I think it's a true proper 5-star. It's a nice start, quite gallopy, and then it gets quite intense with a lot of big jumping. So I think it'll be an interesting day.
Well, and you're sitting on a great horse to be on, though, for that cross country.
Yeah, sure. But we still have to keep the focus and have a bit of luck on our side.
Are you the type of person that likes to be like as the trailblazer, right? Is that different? Like, do you normally like to see some ways the course rides, or?
It is what it is, and it's no one's ideal situation, to be honest. It's nice to see half a dozen, and see what's happening. But just look at the draw, and I've just got to crack on with it.
Sure.
Next is William Fox Pitt.
Well, that was pretty awesome. How do you feel about her?
Honestly, I'm delighted with the horse. She's a trier. She's fun to ride. She was quite frisky today. I thought once or twice. Couldn't quite get her on the bit, but she was still showing off well, and I was very pleased with her. But she's quite good at that bit.
What was your thought process in terms of selecting coming to Maryland?
Oh yeah, it was very simple. She's the only one I've got now. It's only 5-star horse I've got, and she was doing embryo transfers after Badminton, so she wasn't fit enough to do Burghley. So Amanda is obviously American and quite would like to have had her here anyway, and we thought it'd be fun to come here and do one that none of us done before and go for it. I've done Burghley's wonderful, but I have done it a few times.
So is it fun?
Here?
Yeah,
it's fantastic to see. I've heard good reports, obviously from Harry and Tim Price last year, about how amazing it is, and it's fantastic. It's so welcoming. Everyone's so generous. We're all looked after completely. So it's so far it's been fine. But I'm always surprised why it goes so simply, because it's quite a big deal when you travel all that way. But they seem to just get on with it, and it seems to be like we're down the road.
Do you have any specific goals in mind for this weekend with her?
Oh, yeah, that was the easy bit. She's also very good cross country, but the show jumping is a little bit work in progress. So I've got 3 in hand on Sunday. I'll be happy.
Is that something you think you can fix with her, the show jumping, if you have a little bit more time?
I would like to think she really does want to clear the jumps. It's just she's sitting at the stage sometimes where she's a little bit core weak, so she's very able to stretch and jump and gallop, but the core sometimes is not good enough to be round enough for the jumping, and I think that will come with age. I say she's only 11, but she had her 10th year off. She did no events at 10, so she's a little bit like a 10-year-old. And I think you never know, when she's 16 and I'm 100, we might leave all the jumps up.
Just rounding up.
What about her babies? When will they be?
Oh no, she's got one. She's got a 2-year-old, a lovely 2-year-old, by a horse called, I'm going to say Herald, who's by Heraldic, who's a jumper, and this year it didn't work. That's why we tried for 2 months. We kept on trying, hoping, and it just all went wrong. So we're now going to do that. What do they call that? ICSI. In vitro fertilization this autumn, when there's no events, and she's got all the time in the world. Because her owner loves breeding and is very excited about carrying on the genetics, so that's the goal. Obviously, that's why she actually came in and bought a mare in the first place.
Well, actually, you're going to have to keep riding then if she's going to have all these babies, right? You won't be able to retire.
Right.
It'll only be 7 or 8 more years, right? 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
By the blink of an eye.
I'm only 54. We'll see. We'll see.
60.
Yeah, but he's a bit of a freak, isn't he? There aren't many hymns.
I think some would say the same about you.
Yeah, there aren't many you, that's for sure.
What's she?
I'm far too long and straggly to stay in
And
one
you can't
piece.
get any taller.
And people still, I must be the only person ever that people still see me and say, haven't you grown? I think I'm getting to that stage now.
You got a ways to go.
We do shrink.
Oh, yeah. You can do what I understand. They're bored of me.
What's she like to ride and train?
She's fun. Yeah, she loves her job. She always has a go. She's always on your side. She always, she's a fabulous. Yeah, she always says yes. Doesn't always know, but she's always having a go. Like at badminton this year, she completely fell onto the Normandy bank. Most horses couldn't have got a leg from anywhere to go anywhere, but she found a leg not only to jump it, but to jump through the air on a bounce stride.
Wow.
Because she just is that hurt. Excuse me, but she is just no shit.
So that's what it means when you say she doesn't say no, right?
Exactly. She just, and I might be famous last words, but I'm hoping she doesn't do any belly flopping tomorrow. But actually, if she did belly flop coming out of that bloody water fence, it might help the striding. Because I'm quite nervous about that striding.
Zero stride.
No stride. I mean, there's a stride, but going down to the last D is 2.5. Whether you're Ian Stark or Paul Schockemöller or anyone else, it's 2.5. It's not 2 and it's not 3. So it's please God, just take off.
Just keep levitating.
I don't know what your other riders have said, but that for me is the unknown jump. It's totally fair, but it is quite unknown.
So for that, do you think you're going to add or leave out? Or see?
I'm not planning anything. I'm just going to hopefully hold on to the next. I'm going to hold on to the next strap.
Now we'll hear from Ollie Townend.
Do you want to kind of recap it for us, how to go in there?
Yeah, I mean, she's 9 years old, so it could have gone drastically wrong through no fault of her own, just through inexperience. And as she went in, she came a little back at me and a little nervous, and it actually helped in the end because it lifted her ears, and then I could ride her forwards, and she relaxed throughout the test. I just went one movement by one movement and kept thinking, good girl, another one done, good girl, another one done. And I just couldn't be happier with her. We've had her since she was 4, and we've always thought she was very, very good. But obviously she's arriving at these big events a little bit ahead of being established. She's got enough experience to be here, obviously, and she's got great form. But it's very, very positive so far.
I watched your warm-up, and you looked like you were doing a lot in warm-up. Is that typical, or was it because this is such a new place for her?
A new place, and just to try and get her breathing. I mean, she has a lot of thoroughbred. Her mother won the Scottish Minnows Grand National, so she's bred to gallop, not to do dressage, but luckily she trots as well. So she can take an awful lot of work, and obviously she's extremely fit, and it's the biggest atmosphere she's ever been at. So I was happy with the warm-up. I probably thought I was 10 minutes behind schedule. Like, I didn't quite get her to the point that she was relaxed out there, but as I said, when she went in there, she was a good girl.
She is the youngest horse in the field this weekend. What made your decision to bring her here for her?
Well, I've had great experiences here the last twice, and I've got to say the tracks have probably been a little more kind the last 2 years, and I was kind of expecting the same, but didn't get the same. But look, we know the ground's great. It's a big atmosphere without being a Kentucky atmosphere, and I just thought that this would be a great stepping stone for her career going forwards. You know, we're trying to prepare her to go to some very special places because we think she's probably one of the best we've had. So this is just a nice stepping stone.
And this event has really changed, hasn't it, since the first time you were here, in terms of its growth and the polish they put on it?
I cannot give the whole Maryland team and Cecil County enough credit. What they've done in 3 years from starting off at 5-star is just unbelievable and very inspirational for the other 5-stars in the world, because this is going to be a very, very special event in the future.
What's she like to ride and train?
Yeah, very straightforward in terms of she's very typical of her pedigree. She's beautiful to ride. She's very, very female in terms of she's a sensitive horse, and everything has to be on her terms, but we're used to that with the likes of Ballamore Class and all those highly strung horses like Armada, and she's just another high class horse that basically has her own way 99% of the time until it comes to her doing her job, and then she has to behave. But she's definitely a character, but she's so top class that we let them be the character.
If you were doing a recipe for a top eventing horse, how much thoroughbred would you want to see in a horse?
Oh look, I love her type of pedigree, i.e. she's got a jumping father and a racehorse mother, and I think if you get that combination, and I think also if you own thoroughbred mares and you're wanting to breed event horses, it gives you so much more option, because you've got 1,000 jumping stallions, whereas if you own an eventing type mare, there isn't that many thoroughbred eventing stallions around these days.
Okay, so they're both her dam and her sire are thoroughbred?
No, the father's a show jumper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about how your relationship has evolved with her?
Look, I've had her since she was 4, and I'm pretty much the only one that rides her at home. Kieran, a young boy, hacks her out, so there's only 2 of us that ever sit on her. So, I live with these horses every day of the week, and obviously, the more excited you are about them, the longer they're with you. But I'm hoping that she's going to be a very, very long-term relationship. And yeah, she's progressing. Every day is exciting with her.
In terms of the course tomorrow, is there anything you think will be particularly tricky?
How long have you got? Proper 5-star. I think definitely the toughest 5-star we've seen here, and it's right up there with the toughest in the world now. A few of the riders were sort of saying it was 4-star, 4.5-star last year, which I didn't actually believe. But it's definitely 5.5-star now. So yeah, the combinations are very serious, and I'll just be trying to look after her and give her time where I need to give her time, and where I can hopefully press on and catch time, I'll be trying to do that.
U.S. rider Hannah Sue Holberg shares her thoughts about her rides.
First 5-star for this guy?
Yeah, actually I did Kentucky. I made it almost all the way around, then I fell off stupidly at the very end.
Well, maybe that's why it fell out of my brain.
Yeah, it's okay if it does. This is, the first time.
Okay, first time. Yeah. You want to recap the test for us?
Yeah, he went in there and was kind of like, he's horse shy, so when I saw Buck's horse coming out, I was like, oh no, and I tried to get in there really fast, and then he kind of got a glimpse of the big screen, which for some reason really spooked him. And I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen? I was like, what? Why are you freaking out about this? But then I just showed it to him a couple times, and he was really good, and went in there and actually was better than he is normally any day. He did everything better and as well as he can at home, or better. So couldn't be happier with him. I messed up that last change. I was getting too excited. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going so well. It's the worst thing ever that you can think. Yeah, I was like, it's almost over and it's going so well. But otherwise, I thought I rode to my plan, and I rode more aggressively in the trot work, which I've been trying to do. So it's easy to just kind of be frozen up there, and been trying to be go as fast as I can. So it was awesome.
Is there anything you feel from his Kentucky test to here that has really kind of improved or strengthened?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he's actually a completely different horse in a lot of ways. He jumps a lot better. He moves better. He's more kind of with me in general, on the aids, and looks to me instead of kind of getting nervous and getting hot. When he gets nervous, he's like, what do we do now? Which is such a nice thing to have. Unless I'm oh no! Oh no, I'm freaking out too! But it is nice. I don't know, he's more of a galloper. He's a real 5-star horse now, so I'm really excited to have a go at this crazy cross-country course.
Yeah, speaking of,
good Lord.
To that.
Good Lord! What is happening? There's a lot of things out there that one jump after the crab water, I've never seen anything like that before. I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. I mean, just get to the other side somehow. But the waterfall jump is kind of took me by surprise. I didn't expect to see that on this horse, and the bounce with the crab is weird. I think the out of that combination is really going to be hard. I mean, the whole thing is going to be a bit jarring, I think. He obviously doesn't want people to make the time this year, which I don't think they will. Just with how, like, you have to gallop something and then really quickly change directions or change pace. So I'm really glad to be riding this horse because he's really, really rateable and he turns really well. I can't imagine being on another horse that isn't that way because I just don't know how you would do any of these combinations. So I'm excited to ride him. I hope, I've been galloping him a lot. He's fitter than he's ever been, so hopefully he's fit enough. Fingers crossed.
You've had a couple of horses at this level through your career. Does he remind you of any of them, or is he very different from them in his own way?
He's pretty different. He's like really, he's like very stable horse. Like he knows who he is, and he's very confident in himself, and he's just like total gentleman, like just a perfect horse. Like he's amazing, so sweet. He's a real athletic horse. He tries really hard, loves to win, but he's never like rude or impolite. Like he's a little toddler could lead him around if they wanted to. Like he's a really special horse, really cool, different than any other kind.
What's he like to ride and train?
He's a little bit harder to train because he is warm blood than like Harbor Pilot or one with more thoroughbred blood. Just because he gets kind of hot as he goes rather than settling into the work like a warm blood would. So I have to kind of like figure out how to get the best out of him on a day-to-day basis. But he tries really hard. He just kind of will be like, oh, this is not really what I want to do today, and get like a little wound up, and I'm like, just got to keep going. Whereas a thoroughbred kind of like goes right to work as soon as you give him something to do. But he's a lot easier to handle than Harbor Pilot, so it's all right. I'll take it. Yeah.
Do you have any go-to exercises or exercises you do with him specifically, training exercises?
On the flat or?
Jumping. Actually.
Yeah, jumping. We've really worked on his jump. My husband is a show jumper, and it's taken like a little while to figure out how to get him to use himself in a good way because he's very careful, but he's not like traditional jumper. So you never want to like scare him by showing him what he can't do. So we start like really small with him, and then do some exercises to like get him thinking about the front rail, not just the back rail, stuff like that. Get him to like be confident but try hard, So you can't you don't want him to like bump the fence. Like you wouldn't want to like run him into a jump or something like some people do with their horses to get them sharp or whatever. Like you just ride him the same as I ride him like at the show every day. So.
And next up is Mia Farley.
You want to recap that for us?
Yeah, I walked in there and then I was like, I guess I should pick up the trot and get moving. And then Phelps did for me, and he's got, he's a thoroughbred, but he's got a pretty strong trot now. And then I cantered, they rang the bell, went in, and just started the test and remembered every movement.
Good job.
It was actually my first time going over it, and I remembered it, I guess. So I'm happy. Phelps was great. Not too nervous, so.
What's something you've really been kind of working on with him on the flat in preparation for this?
Kind of like canter pirouettes, really getting him to sit down as much as we can. Him being a thoroughbred, his natural is long and flat, kind of. But he's really improved throughout the years. I think him and I both, not just him. But I give him a lot of credit. Like, he tries his heart out in every phase for me. So.
And it's got to be awesome riding for David. Like, you've worked with him for so long, and he owns the horse. Like, can you talk about that relationship a little bit?
It's pretty awesome, actually. He's a really good, like everything, coach, mentor, owner, dad, kind of all of the above with him. And so I can always call him if I can get a hold of him. I usually get some pretty good advice. Sometimes he tells me just to get off if I'm really emotional. So I've learned to do that too. Maybe try again later. But it's been a very special experience, him and Karen both. So.
And how are you doing? I mean, this is your first 5-star. Congratulations, by the way. Does it feel different to you, or how is your mental space?
I don't really know if it's like good or bad. I'm kind of here, pushing it aside. I'm like, it's just another show. So that's kind of how I've been doing things.
Have you had a chance to walk the course yet?
I have.
How's it look?
It just looks like another show.
Love it.
I think it's plenty demanding. And then I think once we go up the hill, he's kind of laid off a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see what we're made of, I guess.
It seems that Phelps probably has some sort of base of fitness, being a thoroughbred too. But what have you done to get him prepared for this fitness-wise?
Lots of hills. So we didn't really change much. Like I kind of did the same thing that I prepped for Morven for long last year, just maybe a little bit more aggressive, maybe a little bit faster. We don't actually go that fast on our tanners. So, I'm confident that he's fit, and I'm glad that he's a thoroughbred as well for cross country.
And doing Morven Park is obviously a really great prep for 5-star. Can you just talk about some of the preparation that you've done event-wise for this and how it set you up?
We had a good spring, and then this fall we went to... No, we didn't even go to Great Meadow. We went to the ACs. I had a little blip on cross country that was completely my fault, and then we went to Plantation after to do the 4-star and ended up being very wet, so that didn't necessarily go to plan either. And then we did intermediate at Old Tavern, and so we're kind of relying on, we feel prepared and everything, but we had a good season last year, a good spring, and maybe the fall hasn't gone completely to plan, but it didn't change any of our confidence. So.
What's he like to ride and train?
He's so smart, and he tells you everything. So he kind of gives me the finger sometimes, and I'm like, yes, you know better. But he's just a pleasure. Like, he's so noble with everything, and I think I got really lucky with the brain that he has.
Do you have like a favorite training exercise, especially with a thoroughbred?
Leg yields. I live in a leg yield.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think that's my go-to if anything ever goes bad. I just go to trot cannon transitions and leg yields.
We didn't get a chance to talk with William and Oliver after their cross-country rides, so here's the press conference with them and Mia Farley, who was in third place after cross-country.
Look, every rider we talked to when they finished, we asked them about the course. They all said it was so hard. Tell us your feelings on today's course and, of course, about your ride.
I thought it was another Ian Stark masterpiece. I thought that it was a serious 5-star. It rode as big as any 5-star, definitely bigger than a lot of the 5-stars that we've seen in recent years. And I think it was a tough challenge, but a very fair challenge, and I think that it got an amazing result, which of course is, one inside the time is fantastic at 5-star level. And I thought that the horses coped very well, and when they did a good job, it looked beautiful.
And William, you, like Ollie, know Ian's courses so very well. Tell us how you would kind of put this in a ranking of what you were expecting and what you generally get from him.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Ollie said. I think Ian did do a very good job of that course. He was very brave in parts, and really gave us a serious track that we had to think about, focus on. I did walk the course and think that Ian very much had Murphy himself in the back of his mind when he was walking some of those distances and fences, and I was rather wishing that I was on Murphy himself. But my mare coped very well. I was very pleased with her, and I think he struck a good balance. I think he asked some very good questions. There were times when things maybe weren't quite so big, but he did test our horses, and to have one inside the time, I kind of thought when I walked it there might be two, so that's a pretty damn good result.
And Mia, when you woke up this morning, did you think you would be sitting at this table next to two of the greatest riders in the history of our sport?
No.
Actually, when we were up at D-Box, and when they said you were in the leads, you didn't believe it. We had to show you on our phone.
Yeah, very neutral thinking here, and it was definitely, I wanted to have a plan, but I soon got slapped in the face in the ring here that nothing was probably going to go to my plan A, at least. But Phelps answered all the questions, and I couldn't be happier with him.
Questions, please raise your hand, and Jen will bring in the mic. Here we go.
Mia, I understand that you've been with the O'Connors for a pretty long time, and that you've also had the horse that you brought here, Phelps, for a pretty long time. What did that mean to you coming across the finish line, but also leading up to this week?
I think leading up to this week, I've been definitely a little bit mentally unstable. I called David one day and I was like, "Are you in town?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Candy, you watched it all class." And then finishing today, like when I started, I just wanted to get to the finish. And Phelps did that for me, and I couldn't with him. All the emotions hit in the past 2 weeks. So.
Next question, Kimberly over here.
Ollie. Obviously, Ollie and Williams have only done a 1-5 turn. This is your first 5 turn. Can you kind of talk about what you learned about your horses on this track?
My horse Rosie has fulfilled my expectations of her. We've always thought she was a superstar since the day we first saw her at age 4, and from literally arriving at the warm-up to setting out of the box, I just thought, God, you're just something special. She was very keen, but in a beautiful way, ears pricked and enthusiastic, and basically she's had a whale of a time out here. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with her, and yeah, she's fulfilled our dreams that she is the next, hopefully, big thing for 5-star horses.
Sally, oh wait, was that for everybody? Oh, sorry. So the same thing about what you learned about your horse today.
I've known she's a lovely horse, and she gave me a great ride at Badminton, so of course I come here full of optimism, and you never quite know when they've done 1 5-star, are they going to be as good at the next one. But she's always been a very cool horse, even from a 5-year-old. I was like, she'd always just walk the course. She just went, yeah. She doesn't really deviate anywhere, so she's nice and easy to ride.
I think what I learned about Phelps today is that he's a true fighter. Like when I wasn't fully there for him, he was like, "It's okay, I got you," and it was a wonderful feeling for him to kind of step in and take over the reins in a way.
For Mia, this is your 20th double clear, or your 20th like no cross country jump fault ever. So you have a perfect career with Phelps on cross country. Where on course do you think that really kind of needed his strength the most, I guess, and as a thoroughbred, and all, you're excited that you were a thoroughbred was the one that got the time. Where do you think that mattered most about this thing?
I think, like, especially out of the second water, I didn't expect him to jump. I knew he was going to jump big, but I didn't quite expect the effort that he made over the C element. Or, I don't know what, there's so many jumps in a row. and so I kind of landed a little bit on his neck, on my knee, and he just went straight to the brush. And that's when, like, after that, I was like, no, we can just go home now. I'm sorry.
Next, back to Sally.
William, I would love to hear how I watched you with your mare at the hold. She obviously seemed to chill out pretty well. Very curious about when she was going to get to go again. Can you just talk about how that helped her, how you managed her during that time that you were held for those 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to admit, of course, the hold in hindsight did help. You're never quite sure. You think you'd like to stay in that rhythm and keep going. And I thought, oh my goodness, when I get up to the corners in the water, she might be fresher than I'd anticipated. So I rather thought that I could ride her a little bit quieter. But she held very relaxed. She had a good wash. They had some water there in the end. And I didn't know how long I was going to be held for. It was all a little bit hit and miss, but it was, I've got to say, that played to my advantage for sure, because she doesn't look like she's done an event.
Could you just talk a little bit about any jumps on course, any surprises, or anything than you expected?
I think what I liked about the course was there's quite a few questions out there with some different striding for the same fence. So what I liked was, where we had to react to what we were on. You couldn't just walk the course and say, I'm going to do that, that and that. You had to actually see, where am I straight? Have I jumped big? Have I jumped quietly? So there was a good few options for deciding at the spur of the moment, and I think that's a great part of cross country we've really got to keep in our sport. I think the sport is getting more and more clinical, and I think we want to keep that little bit of adjustment there, so that riders do have to think, and horses do have to think. They've got to react to what's happening, not just have sort of like a bit of grid work where it's just going to pull down the line, which is what has been happening a little bit. So I think Ian is great at doing that. He's very confident. We jump out of the lake crab water, from the hedge to the hedge, from C to D. It wasn't a half stride. Whatever you say, it was on 2.5. Doesn't matter who walked it. It was not 2 and it wasn't 3. Now for me, I don't like that, but we really need that in our sport to get riders to adapt, to decide, am I going straight, am I adding, am I circling left? So there was a lot of stuff going on, and that's what makes it interesting, and that what makes it eventing, not show jumping.
Exactly the same thoughts, the same opinion, but with fens 14 and 15, the two big square boxes down. Was it 5? Was it 4? Was it 4? Was it 3? And it really makes you think. And my plan going out today after I'd seen it was, okay, I'll come quiet to the first and close to the first and do 5 and 4 because she's young and I want to give her time. She jumps the first massive and 5 was never going to happen, so we ended up on 4 and 4, and it's just getting those details of getting riders reacting as quickly as that and thinking on your feet, that it's exactly what William just said. That's what good cross-country riders should do, and that's what, as again William said, we must keep in the sport.
100% of these guys over here. Like I said, I really like to have plans, a little bit of a show jumping background, and I tried to, and everything went good, but nothing went exactly how I wanted, and so it was very scrappy and spur of the moment.
Sally, we're going to get you your own mic actually.
It's probably good enough at this point. Mia, I would love to hear a little bit about, obviously you and David have been working together for many years, especially with this horse. Can you just talk a little bit about the cross-country principles that he's instilled in you, and anything that he in particular told you in warm-up today that stands out, if anything?
David didn't come to warm up, he called me. He was like, this is how this is riding, and this is what's happening here. And so I think like a big part of our training at home, like he actually said, we kind of made a joke, we were like, this is why we always jump the last element first. Like if we're teaching horses how to look for flags, we always jump the last element first, and then you connect the boat, or the two of them, and they learn to kind of hunt flags. And I think I really saw that training that we did with Phelps 5 years ago today.
For Oliver, I believe, if I'm correct, that you've ridden here all 3 years now. Is there something that's developed about the Maryland 5-Star itself or the venue that you have enjoyed specifically?
Yeah, I've firstly enjoyed Maryland full stop. I think that Jeff and the team, Cecil County, and the sponsors, Mars and Brown Advisory, do an incredible job to pull this together, and it's a huge privilege for our sport to have another 5-star of this standard and of this facility. I know that Ian has tweaked his course and he's tweaked it into a true 5-star, and probably one of the toughest 5-stars in the world right now as of today. And I think that that's what the sport needs. And I think that, you know, to attract the riders from overseas, it's been providing the facilities, the great footing for the horses, the amazing stadium. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and that's why I enjoyed the first year and thought this is going to be fantastic. But it's really gone the direction that we hoped and we love, and it certainly hasn't disappointed in that way in any way, shape and form, and it's all credit to the amazing team behind the event.
For Oliver as well. So you went the last couple in the order of go, and I assume you were seeing that the time was pretty hard to make. What were your thoughts going into it as you were preparing to go?
Yeah, look, my horse is 9 years old, so my thoughts were on the jumps and trying to give her as nice a trip as possible. Although we're at a 5-star and it's hugely important, she's hopefully going to be a very long-term partner for me in my career. We know how good she is, so it was about giving her the best experience possible. My manager Karen drummed it into me that I sit very still up the hills and try and save and save and save, so that when I get to the top with the difficult corners and the water where she might be a bit green, she needs that bit of energy. So as soon as I got over the water, I was like, okay, now we can go. But in all honesty, I've spent most of the rounds sort of saying, whoa, just wait, and hopefully I won't be kicking myself, because she definitely could have gone a lot quicker. But I'm happy with the ride and the round that she's had, and hopefully it's a massive building block for the future.
And as a follow-up, I remember you saying in the press conference last year that it was too easy at the time. So are you happier this year with it?
Very much so. I mean, it's 5-star. Last year I was 17 seconds inside, which I found a little bit embarrassing, and I was slowing up for the last 2 minutes. That's not a 5-star time, and Ian knew that, everybody knew that. But at the same time, you know, it takes, as a designer, a long time to figure out the lay of the land, the place, and whether it's a tiring course, because there's obviously lots of undulations and lots of things that you can build. But I think that Ian's done it the right way. I didn't sort of point any fingers, because I know what a difficult job it must be, and it's taken him 3 years to get it really right. But at the same time, I think he's done an amazing job.
And finally, here's the final press conference after show jumping with Austin, William, Oliver, and Hannah.
Austin, we were down below, and you said to me, I don't win 5 stars. Is there any way you can put into words what you're feeling right now?
If I was to win a 5-star, it's definitely here in Cecil County that I would want to win it. Win, lose or draw, we've had an unbelievable week. The people of Cecil County have been unbelievable, and thank you very, very much. And I can't wait to come back.
All right, well, we'll be thrilled to have you back. And when you come back, you now are a 5-star champion for life.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So I think now I'd like to open it to questions. And maybe as much as we want to talk to Austin, let's do a few quick ones with Ollie, and then we have to let him get to the airport. Raise your hand, and John will bring you the microphone.
Obviously, she's the youngest horse in this field and has had kind of a great performance all week. Can you just reflect on how far she's come this weekend?
Incredible. When you come to these 5 stars, you have to perform if you're going to be competitive, and you have to concentrate on dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and every time I've really concentrated on trying to improve a specific part of her training, whether it be a flying change or more expression in the trot. She just comes up another level and another level. So I felt that she really came up a level at Blenheim, where she won the 8 and 9 year olds, and I think she's learnt an incredible amount this week, and I honestly don't believe she came out of 4th gear yesterday at the cross country, and she's fresh, she's a little bit mad fresh actually. She's very happy with herself, so hopefully she'll learn from the experience, and hopefully we'll see an even higher level of performance next time.
So.
Oliver, you talked briefly the other day about the high percentage of thoroughbreds that she's got in her with her steeplechasing dam. Can you just talk a little bit more about the influence you felt yesterday and maybe today a little bit from that awesome thoroughbred influence?
Yes, she obviously had a very successful racehorse mother, and for me that's what you need at 5-star level, and it showed yesterday the true 5-star horses stood out amazingly, and I think that's what she is, and I think that it's really important that, as William said yesterday, that we keep that cross-country element of rider frighteners and the stamina element and the element of being able to make decisions, having to make decisions quickly around a course like that is so important to keep for our future sport. We don't want to be going around a set of show jumps that knock down around a flat field all on beautiful distances, and we want it to be a stamina test, and for me that's why the thoroughbred's so important.
Oliver, can you talk us through your round today? What kind of feeling your horse was giving you?
She was giving me an amazing feeling. I felt that she, it was a baby mistake possibly coming out of the combination. I felt that everything was right going in, and then I felt that it was me getting a little bit too desperate at the next one, so perhaps she had one down and I had one down, but in terms of for the future, I've not got a concern about the show jumping phase. I thought she jumped a beautiful round and we had 2 mistakes, simple as that, and I can't tell you how happy I am. At the same time, I nearly cried for Austin. I mean, that's, Austin's been he's a good man, and he's been a good friend to me in a fairly tough times of the last few years, and we share another lunatic friend, so I would imagine there'll be a get together and a party at some stage over Burley and Maryland, so welcome to him.
And now questions for our riders who I checked with them. I said, none of you are leaving town tonight, right? And they're all staying. So go with Lindsay.
Austin, your horse has obviously you've been to the Olympics, World Championships, you've had him for a while. Can you just give us a brief background on your partnership with him when you got him?
Well, it's hard to keep it brief because I've had an involvement from the day he was conceived. I originally owned a dam. A great supporter of mine bought the dam from me. We had a sort of a breeding program together, and 20 years later, here we are.
Could you just talk a little bit about, he has jumped clear at this round at 5-star, and he jumped clear in the individual round at the Olympics last year, 2021. So what were your expectations? Did you think, that was pretty possible for you? I mean, what was your expectation going into today?
Yeah, I'm sure we wouldn't have come to Maryland if we didn't feel there was a strong possibility of jumping a clear round. But saying that, the last couple of 3 days I've ended up with a couple of cheap rails. It happens. Nothing really obvious, and today I make a horrendous mistake and he gets me out of jail. Was I caught? Look, if I had a fence down, I had a fence down, but everything's gone our way. And look, he's an unbelievable horse. He's unbelievable. He's a proper 5-star event horse. Likes to climb.
I'll take it. So you've had this horse, since obviously since you've read him. What was he like as a young horse compared to what you rode today?
He always looked a good horse, but I guess a bit like myself, with age he's just got better, or luckier, whatever you want to put it. But no, look, it's going back to what Ollie was talking about, and William. He's 85% thoroughbred. He's all blood, he's all class, he's all heart. and he'll try till the bitter end. But yeah, from look, to be honest, from day one he looked a proper horse.
Kimberly's ready now.
This is a reroute for you after Burley. Can you kind of talk about the decision and how you feel like this event ended up suiting him?
Yeah, well, it's actually a Maryland event committee member, Tim Gardner, who, when I was having a little bit of a down moment at Burley, he put his arm around me and he said, "You've got to bring Salty to Maryland." Because obviously the pole would have been the obvious choice. So he was the man that convinced us that we should come here. And I believe him, and I'm delighted I did.
We've always felt listening to Tim is a very good move.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Next question, Nancy.
Did you select his sire, and by chance did you happen to be there when he was foaled?
The breeding was discussed, and yeah, we did come up with Jaguar Male, but we very much came up with Jaguar Male, the sire, working from the dam. I mean, in our mind, it's the dam line. Obviously, Jaguar Male is a very good stallion, but it's his dam line. He's out of a mare by Rock King, which was a thoroughbred, which actually was thoroughbred and invented with Sarah Bullen many moons ago. So we would look at the dam line and go from there. And obviously, a bit like today, you need a bit of luck, don't you? But yeah, but it would have been seriously thought through.
Were you there when he was foaled?
I can't say I was there when he was foaled, but I would have seen him within a month. He was born in Ireland and then shipped to me to the UK.
Liam, you talked a lot about how fond you are of this horse and how she's kind of kept you in the sport. Can you kind of expand upon that and what you think makes her so special?
She's a great horse. She loves the sport. Is my thing, not it's working now. She finds it quite easy. She always says yes. She always has a go. She's good fun, and I think anyone could ride her. I'm just a lucky one to have her at the moment. And she's keeping me going.
So William, there's been a lot of talk about your plans and your future. We're wondering if you've grown out of the sport of eventing.
Yeah, I should have. I'm getting close. I think I'm coming to my senses quietly. I've not got many horses now. She's the only 5-star horse I've got, and then I've just got 2 6-year-olds. So there is more time in my life now, which is quite nice. But I've got to decide, could she give me a bit more fun, and do I do it well enough? I think as an older rider, you're increasingly worried about looking like an idiot, and I think that normally you're out there to do the cross country and do your best and you attack. Nowadays I think, oh God, I hope I don't look like an old man today, because everyone will think, oh for God's sake, just give up. So it's getting close, but she's keeping me in the game. She's a lot of fun, and of course yesterday morning I was thinking, what the hell am I doing really? But by yesterday evening I was thinking, that's what I'm doing. So as we all know, it's a drug, and it's a good one. So I'm enjoying her, and yeah, goodness knows, I think I probably should come to my senses, but I'm not sure I would enjoy watching anyone else ride her yet.
Well, your career is obviously second to none. 14 5-star wins. Tops the pack. I mean, you're 3 ahead of second place, and second here this weekend. Maybe there's a little left in the tank, especially with this horse that is so great.
Yeah, you're very kind to say that. I got to decide, haven't I, how much is left in the tank?
Only you can make that decision. And Hannah Sue, this was a great week. All 3 phases went so well. Tell us about this horse.
Yeah, he was actually bought for his owner, who still owns him, and she competed him to the training level here, and they was just a little bit too much horse for her, so I got to take over the ride. And we didn't really have extremely high expectations for him starting out. I just kind of slowly, well, not that slowly, brought him up the levels, and every time kind of asked him to do more, he would just step up and, answer the questions, and he's gotten better and better and better. I wish I had gotten him as a young horse, because he's 16 now, but he is incredible. I mean, he did, every time I ride him really well and ask him to do the right things, he does everything I say, which is so nice. And also, when I mess up, he still somehow does it right, so. That's nice. He's a cool horse.
It was great in all 3 phases. So
he jumps better than he's ever jumped in his life today. Like, just amazing. And he fresh as a daisy, perfectly even, and just felt like he hadn't run at all. And my only thing that I wish I had done better is, well, I wish I had done a lot of things better, but the biggest thing, I guess, is that on cross country, I didn't know if he would go the distance. You don't really know until they do. And I kind of held him back a little bit. Where the corners at the top were the big crab water. And I think I could have been inside the time if I had just kept let him go, But I was worried about him getting tired. So it's so nice to know that he's so able and eager and can do it, which is awesome.
Any more questions? Lindsay's Alec.
For William, yesterday I noticed during cross country that you were timing while watching the other riders. Is that something that you have always done, and can you kind of explain your process of that?
Before I went, you mean when I was watching? Yeah, it's just good to know whether those minute markers are right. You got to think, which ones are going to be quick, which ones are going to be slow. It's good to know where the other riders are on there. Are they going to be up on that minute or a bit down? So I was just curious to just check on that. Do my job, kind of get it right, because I've got no excuses for cock-ups anymore.
Sandy?
William, can you just talk us through your show jumping round, how it felt?
Was that to me? Yeah, I was very pleased with her. She was great today, so I couldn't say anything. I mean, she can knock a jump or two down, and she can jump a clear round. I mean, she's not a show jumper, even though she's by Graf and Stoltz. I kind of wish she'd become Lordship Graf alone. She's, we're just kind of living and aiming, but she can just be a little bit economical, and today she really wasn't. She really nearly could have jumped a clear round, but she didn't, and I was still delighted with one down. And she's the sort of horse that she might lose an event with one down, and she could win one with a clear round. So there is a clear round in there, and she's great to work with, and yeah, we can.
Just thank God she had one down today. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm glad I did for Austin. I mean, we are in the sport. We're thrilled. Austin has got his 5-star ticket now, and we'll be watching many more. I did think when he had his little mistake at Burley, I did think, bugger.
For Hannah and Sue, so your horse had a really great run here last year in the 3-star, and then outdid himself this year in the 5-star. Can you talk about his development over the past year?
Yeah, I've kind of taken him up and down the levels a little bit in the last couple of years. He actually was diagnosed with Cushing's a whole year ago, which we found out right after this event. And the reason he was in the 3-star last year is because of that. I just couldn't figure out what was wrong with him all year. And I didn't want to push him too hard and ask him to do more than he could do. So he had actually done the 5-star at Kentucky, and then I brought him down to the 3-star here. I fell off at Kentucky at the very end. It's not his fault. So I was trying to figure it out, and then once we figured that out and he got on the medication he needed, it just has completely changed his life, and he's become the horse that we always knew he was. And it's just, building toward peaking at the right moment and planning the season and hoping it all works out.
Sal.
Austin, any reactions to this statistic of 58 years since an Irish person tops the podium here at 5-star?
No, No real reaction. I did say at badminton that when I was lucky enough to be on the podium this year, I did sort of say tongue-in-cheek, it won't be long before there's an Irish winner, and I did say, I hope you're looking at him. It's completely bullshitting, but yeah. But another interesting statistic, that man that designed the cross-country course over there, I was 4th in badminton in 1999. He was number 1 to go, and he won. Is that correct? Yeah. So I was kind of hanging on to that in my own head all week. The JB was number 1 to go in badminton in 1999, and we were all on the podium together at the end. I'm not quite as grey as you yet. But thank you very much for a world-class course, by the way.
And just to follow up on a point William made earlier, I'll tell you, down at that schooling area afterwards when everyone was getting ready, everyone was so happy. You were the winner, and I've never seen where everyone felt the same, just such happiness that you wound up winning.
Yeah, well, thank you. But we're a small community in the UK. I'm always looking up at these guys, and they see me kind of struggling along for the last 25 years. But we're a small community and we're all good friends.
Thanks for listening to the Practical Horseman podcast, featuring highlights from the Maryland 5-Star. And a big thank you to the episode sponsor, US Rider. You can subscribe to the Practical Horseman podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. While you're there, please rate and review the show. Also, tune into our mini-sode series, The FOD Pod, where you'll hear audio lessons from our favorite Practical Horseman on-demand clips. When you tune into the FOD Pod, listen close for a promo code for 15% off your Practical Horseman on-demand subscription. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sandy Olenek, and you've been listening to the Practical Horseman podcast.